What if someone publicly mocked your deepest beliefs on live national television, and you had to confront them? It's a question many of us might shy away from, but for Elon Musk, it became a very real, very urgent dilemma. It all started on a Tuesday morning when Elon, scrolling through his usual stream of news and social media, stumbled upon a clip from The View, the popular daytime talk show known for its lively debates and bold opinions. This particular segment had ignited a firestorm online. The hosts had been discussing religion, and the tone quickly shifted from light-hearted banter to something sharper, more biting. One host made a mocking comment about Jesus that sent shockwaves through social media communities and beyond. Elon paused the video, his jaw tightening as he listened. This wasn't just an offhand remark, it was a pointed mockery that felt like a personal attack on something that, for him, had long been a source of strength and resilience. The clip was already trending, racking up millions of views and a tidal wave of both outrage and defense. Elon's mind raced. How could something so disrespectful be allowed to air on one of the nation's most watched shows? How would the millions of viewers, many of whom shared similar beliefs, feel seeing this? What about his own fans, who admired his intelligence and success but might be hurt by such blatant mockery? That moment, frozen in time, sparked a decision that would soon captivate a country. Elon Musk would confront The View, live, unfiltered, and in real time. But this wasn't just about defending faith. It was about standing up for respect, for dialogue, for the right to belief without ridicule. He knew this could shake his carefully crafted public image, invite backlash, and possibly even hurt his companies. Yet, the question remained, what mattered more? His convictions or his career? The stakes were high, and the tension was palpable. This wasn't some scripted PR move. It was deeply personal. He reached for his phone, typing a quick message to a trusted friend, "I'm going on The View. Time to speak my truth." As news spread, social media exploded. Hashtags like #Elon versus The View and #RespectFaith began trending. Some fans cheered him on, ready to support his courage. Others warned him of the risks, telling him to keep his beliefs private in a world that prized controversy over conviction. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation. What would happen when the world's most famous tech visionary faced off against a panel known for sharp tongues and bold opinions? The day of the confrontation arrived, and the cameras rolled. But before that dramatic moment, let's step back and understand the man behind the headlines. Who was Elon Musk beyond the genius entrepreneur? What forged the man who now stood ready to defend his faith on live national television? Elon wasn't just a business mogul. His journey was marked by trials and triumphs, moments of doubt and flashes of unwavering belief. Raised by his mother, May Musk, a strong and independent woman, Elon's early life was a blend of privilege and hardship. His father's distant nature and his own struggles with loneliness painted a complex psychological landscape. As a young boy, Elon found solace in books and ideas, but also in the quiet corners of spirituality. Though not overtly religious as a child, the stories of Jesus and lessons of faith lingered in his heart. Years later, the loss of close friends and personal failures tested his beliefs. Yet, in these dark moments, he found a steadying force, a quiet hope that kept him moving forward. His faith wasn't loud or showy, but it was real, a thread woven through the fabric of his life. Relationships played a crucial role in shaping his worldview. From the support of his mother to the friendships he forged in Silicon Valley, Elon's life was a tapestry of connection and conflict. Love was complicated, his marriages and breakups added layers of vulnerability and strength. Each relationship taught him something about sacrifice, understanding, and the power of forgiveness. It was this background, full of emotional depth and complexity, that made the moment on The View so charged. Elon wasn't just defending an abstract idea, he was defending a part of himself. The morning after the clip aired, the response was immediate. Social media erupted, dividing opinions sharply. Some applauded the show's boldness, claiming religion should be open to criticism like any other topic. Others felt the mockery crossed a line, an attack on faith that had no place on daytime television. Elon watched the fallout unfold with growing concern. His fan base was splitting. Some saw him as a hero standing up for religious respect. Others worried he was mixing faith and business in ways that could damage his reputation. The pressure mounted. Friends and advisors cautioned him, urging a careful response. But Elon knew silence wasn't an option. He began preparing for the confrontation. Behind closed doors, he wrestled with how to express his feelings without igniting a larger firestorm. The decision to go on The View wasn't taken lightly. It was a gamble, a bold move to reclaim the narrative and demand respect, not just for Jesus, but for anyone whose beliefs had been ridiculed. As the live day approached, anticipation built to a fever pitch. News outlets speculated about the showdown. Would Elon's calm intellect prevail over the sharp-tongued hosts? Or would he be overwhelmed by the volatile atmosphere? The stage was set, and millions tuned in, waiting to witness a moment that promised drama, confrontation, and perhaps, unexpected understanding. When Elon stepped onto the set, the air crackled with energy. Cameras focused, mics adjusted, and the usual banter of the hosts shifted into a more serious tone. Elon's presence was commanding but composed. The initial exchanges were tense. The hosts opened with pointed remarks, testing his resolve. Elon responded with measured words, calmly challenging the mockery and asking the hard questions. Why mock something millions hold sacred? Why dismiss faith in a world searching for meaning? The tension was palpable, but so was a flicker of respect. In that charged space, something unexpected happened. One host, known for her outspoken skepticism, shared a deeply personal struggle with faith, a secret she had never revealed on air. Her vulnerability shifted the tone, creating a brief moment of connection amidst conflict. Elon listened, and in turn shared his own doubts and hopes, weaving a narrative that humanized the debate. The live confrontation was no longer just a battle of opinions, it became a conversation about belief, respect, and understanding. Viewers at home felt the intensity, the raw emotion, the hope and pain intertwined. As the episode ended, the aftermath was immediate. Social media buzzed with reactions, some critical, some supportive. The incident sparked nationwide discussions about faith, media responsibility, and the courage to stand up for what you believe. Elon's decision to confront The View was bold, risky, and deeply personal. It challenged norms and expectations, forcing both sides to reconsider their views. The story was far from over, but this opening chapter set the stage for a journey of conflict, hope, and transformation that would resonate far beyond the television screen. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? To truly understand Elon Musk's decision to confront The View over mocking Jesus, we need to peel back the layers of the man's life, his upbringing, his inner struggles, and the quiet faith that underpinned his extraordinary journey. Elon was born in Pretoria, South Africa, into a family that combined intellect and complexity. His mother, May Musk, was a model and dietitian, a figure of strength and grace who encouraged curiosity and independence. His father, Errol Musk, was an engineer, known for his harsh demeanor and troubled relationship with Elon. Growing up, Elon was an introverted and inquisitive child who found solace in books and science fiction, spending countless hours imagining futures where humanity could transcend earthly limits. Yet beneath the surface, there were fractures, emotional wounds caused by a difficult home life and periods of isolation. His father's sometimes cold and demanding nature left deep impressions. It was in this turbulent environment that Elon first encountered questions about faith, existence, and purpose. Though his family was not overtly religious, stories of Jesus and spiritual teachings came through the whispers of tradition and his own reading. As a boy, Elon was fascinated not just by technology but by the deeper questions life posed: why are we here? What does it mean to live a good life? These questions lingered in his mind through adolescence and young adulthood, shaping a quiet, contemplative side that few saw in the public eye. When Elon left South Africa for Canada at 17, and later moved to the United States, the path wasn't always clear or easy. He faced loneliness, financial struggles, and the pressure of proving himself in unfamiliar worlds. During these years, Elon experienced a series of emotional highs and lows, moments of overwhelming hope followed by deep doubts. His early ventures in tech and entrepreneurship were thrilling but fraught with risk and near failure. Yet, through all the chaos, a thread of resilience ran deep. Elon credits this resilience to a combination of his intellectual curiosity and an inner sense of something greater than himself. Faith wasn't always a simple word for him, it was a journey. He encountered skeptics and cynics, especially in the hyper-rational Silicon Valley culture where religion was often dismissed as irrelevant or irrational. But Elon found that faith could coexist with science and innovation, that belief in a higher purpose could fuel the same drive that launched rockets and electric cars. Throughout his adult life, Elon faced personal tragedies that tested his spirit. The loss of close friends, the strain of public scrutiny, and the pressures of running companies at the cutting edge of technology often left him grappling with loneliness. But in these darkest hours, Elon turned inward, drawing strength from reflections on sacrifice, hope, and redemption, concepts deeply rooted in the story of Jesus. These were not just abstract ideas, they were lifelines. Relationships shaped Elon in profound ways. His bond with his mother remained a source of grounding and encouragement, a steady reminder of grace amid chaos. Friendships with colleagues and mentors helped him navigate the high-stakes world of innovation. Love, however, proved complicated. His marriages and relationships brought moments of joy but also heartbreak, teaching him lessons about humility, forgiveness, and the cost of ambition. These emotional experiences deepened his understanding of human frailty and the need for compassion. In many ways, Elon's journey mirrored the archetypal hero's path, a young man thrust into the world, challenged by internal and external demons, seeking meaning in the midst of turmoil. His faith journey was no different. It was filled with questions, moments of doubt, and flashes of clarity. It wasn't about dogma or doctrine but about a personal search for truth and connection. This inner landscape formed the backdrop for the dramatic events that would soon unfold on national television. When the mocking comments about Jesus aired on The View, they hit a nerve that went far beyond politics or celebrity drama. For Elon, they were an affront to the quiet faith that had carried him through hardships and given his life direction. At the same time, Elon understood the complexity of public discourse. He recognized that in a pluralistic society, beliefs would be challenged, and sometimes that challenge would sting. But there was a line between debate and disrespect. He felt compelled to draw that line, to say that faith deserves not just tolerance but respect. Preparing to confront The View was not just about defending Jesus, it was about defending the dignity of millions who find meaning and strength in faith. It was also about setting an example for his children and the younger generation watching, that courage and conviction matter, even when the world seems against you. Behind the scenes, Elon confided in close friends about his doubts and fears. Would this confrontation harm his companies? Would it alienate his supporters? Could he remain true to himself in the spotlight? These questions gnawed at him, yet his resolve only grew stronger. He wanted the conversation to be more than a media stunt. He wanted it to be a moment of reckoning for a culture that often trivialized belief. His advisors helped him craft a message that was firm but respectful, personal but universal. Elon rehearsed not just words but the emotions behind them, the vulnerability, the passion, the hope. In doing so, he connected deeply with the essence of his faith journey, that honesty and humility open doors, even in conflict. The day before the live confrontation, Elon visited his mother. May's quiet wisdom grounded him. "Remember," she said, "it's not about winning an argument. It's about showing who you are and what you believe. People will see your heart." This simple advice echoed in Elon's mind as he prepared for what lay ahead. He thought about the millions watching, people struggling with their own doubts, fears, and hopes. He wanted to reach them. Elon's faith was not perfect. It was a work in progress, shaped by experience and reflection. But it was real. It was a source of strength he hoped others could understand, even if they didn't share his beliefs. This backstory, of pain, hope, struggle, and resilience, was the foundation for everything that followed. It explained why Elon could not stay silent when Jesus was mocked. It revealed the man behind the headlines, a visionary shaped by faith and fire, ready to stand up for what mattered most. As the cameras rolled on that fateful day, all those years of growth, doubt, love, and loss converged into one powerful moment. Elon Musk wasn't just confronting a TV show. He was confronting the heart of what it means to believe, to be human, and to have the courage to speak up when it counts. The story was only beginning, but the foundation was laid. Elon's journey from boyhood questions to public confrontation was a testament to the complexity of faith in the modern world, a story about the power of belief to endure, transform, and inspire. The moment the clip from The View aired, mocking Jesus with a tone that many felt crossed a line, it didn't just ripple through social media, it exploded. What started as a casual daytime show segment suddenly became a national controversy, and Elon Musk found himself at the center of a storm he never expected. Within hours, the video had been shared millions of times, stirring fierce debates across Twitter, Facebook, and every corner of the internet. People were divided. On one side were those who defended the host's right to critique religion openly, arguing that no belief should be immune from satire or skepticism. They saw it as part of free speech and healthy debate. On the other side were millions who felt deeply offended, viewing the mockery as an attack on something sacred, something that gave their lives meaning and hope. The comment sections on nearly every platform became battlegrounds where respect was often lost in the heat of anger. Elon watched as the controversy grew, his mind racing with conflicting thoughts. As a businessman who thrived on innovation, Elon was no stranger to public scrutiny. His ventures into electric vehicles, space exploration, and artificial intelligence had often drawn criticism, but this felt different. This was personal. The mocking of Jesus touched on a part of him that he kept private, a foundation of quiet faith that had sustained him through personal and professional storms. At the same time, Elon was acutely aware of his public persona. As the CEO of multiple companies, he was expected to stay neutral or avoid controversy that could harm his brand. His social media feed was flooded with messages, some urging him to speak out, others warning him to stay silent. The pressure was immense. His followers on Twitter split into factions overnight. Some hailed him as a champion of faith, demanding he take a stand and call out the disrespect. Others accused him of mixing religion with business, suggesting it was a dangerous distraction or a marketing ploy. Media outlets smelled a story, and soon headlines began to speculate: Elon Musk's faith under fire, tech mogul versus talk show hosts, will Elon speak out or stay silent? The polarization reminded Elon of the challenges inherent in modern discourse, a world where every word could be twisted, every belief attacked or weaponized. He was caught between his desire to defend something sacred and the very real risk of alienating supporters, investors, and partners. Behind the scenes, the tension wasn't just public, it infiltrated Elon's personal circles as well. His closest advisors debated the best course of action. Some urged caution, warning that confronting The View would ignite a firestorm too volatile to control. Others argued that silence would be interpreted as weakness or complicity, damaging Elon's credibility with faith-based communities. Friends and family weighed in too. May Musk, ever the steady presence, encouraged him to follow his heart but reminded him to be prepared for backlash. Elon's internal conflict grew. How could he balance being true to his beliefs with the responsibilities he carried? Was it possible to rise above the noise and create meaningful dialogue? The stakes felt enormous. As the controversy spiraled, Elon decided he couldn't remain a bystander. He began drafting messages and statements, trying to find the right words to express both his personal conviction and his desire for respectful discourse. His initial tweets were measured but firm, condemning the mockery while calling for understanding and respect. These posts sparked their own waves of reaction, some supportive, others skeptical. The media seized on every word, dissecting tone and intent. In the midst of this, Elon's decision crystallized: he would confront The View live. Not with anger or accusations, but with a desire to foster conversation, to bridge divides. He wanted to speak not just as a tech entrepreneur but as a man of faith and empathy. Announcing his plan, Elon prepared for the inevitable challenges. The backlash was swift. Critics accused him of grandstanding, questioning his motives and timing. Corporate leaders warned him about potential damage to his company's reputations. Social media influencers mocked the idea, predicting disaster. Yet, amid the storm, support also grew stronger. Religious leaders and faith communities reached out, thanking Elon for speaking up. Some skeptics expressed curiosity about the confrontation, intrigued by the possibility of respectful dialogue. The country watched, divided but captivated. The tension embodied what Elon called the climax-hope-climax cycle, a pattern familiar in his life where moments of crisis were followed by glimpses of hope, only to face new challenges again. This cycle would define the coming days. The first climax was the viral mockery itself, a blow that felt like a personal and cultural affront. Then came the hope, sparked by Elon's decision to confront and the growing support from unexpected corners. But just as quickly, new conflicts emerged, threatening to undermine progress. Behind the scenes, Elon's team worked tirelessly to prepare for the live confrontation. Every word, tone, and gesture was planned but left room for spontaneity. Elon knew this wasn't just a media event, it was a test of character and conviction. He reflected on past conflicts, failed launches, public failures, and personal heartbreaks, and found strength in the knowledge that resilience meant pushing forward despite adversity. As the day approached, the mood was electric. Elon's phone buzzed non-stop with messages from supporters, critics, journalists, and friends. The pressure was intense, but so was the sense of purpose. He was ready to speak his truth. The rising conflict wasn't just about faith or mockery, it was about the very nature of respect and discourse in a fractured society. Elon saw himself as a symbol of the broader struggle, a man caught between worlds, seeking to bridge divides through courage and honesty. The viral mockery had ignited a fire, but Elon believed it could also spark a movement toward empathy and understanding. In this moment of tension, hope, and uncertainty, the nation held its breath, waiting to see what would unfold when Elon Musk confronted The View, not just a television show, but a microcosm of cultural conflict in America. The story was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. The day Elon Musk faced The View live on television began with a swirl of emotion and anticipation unlike any he had experienced before. This was not a rocket launch or product unveiling, this was personal. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere was thick with tension as producers, hosts, and crew prepared for what promised to be one of the most talked about moments in daytime TV history. Elon arrived at the studio early, his usual casual demeanor tempered by a quiet focus. The bright lights, the hum of cameras, and the chatter of hosts rehearsing lines created a surreal setting that felt both familiar and strange. This was a new kind of battlefield for Elon, a public space where words, not technology, held the power to build or break. As he waited backstage, Elon reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From childhood questions about meaning and faith to the viral moment that ignited national controversy, this confrontation represented more than a debate, it was a crucible testing his beliefs, his courage, and his ability to connect. When the producer called his name, Elon felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with calm resolve. He stepped onto the set, greeted by the warm but probing eyes of the hosts, their smiles tight with anticipation. The stage was vibrant, filled with colorful chairs and bold graphics, but beneath the polished surface, the air crackled with unresolved tension. The hosts wasted no time. The opening segment dove into the controversy, with one host recapping the viral clip and setting the tone for what was expected to be a fiery exchange. Elon responded with measured calm, emphasizing respect and understanding. His voice was steady, his words chosen carefully to convey conviction without aggression. The conversation quickly moved into deeper territory. The hosts challenged Elon's views, questioning how faith fit into his life as a tech innovator and entrepreneur. Elon acknowledged the complexities openly, sharing his own struggles with doubt and the ways faith had grounded him through moments of crisis. The studio audience and millions watching at home sensed something different, a conversation unfolding with honesty and nuance rarely seen in such polarized debates. As the discussion progressed, Elon began to reveal more about his personal journey. He spoke of the emotional scars from his youth, the loneliness that accompanied his rise to fame, and the quiet hope that faith provided. His words painted vivid pictures, of late nights wrestling with impossible decisions, of silent prayers before major launches, of moments when science and spirituality intertwined in unexpected ways. The hosts listened, some visibly moved, others skeptical but engaged. The setting shifted from confrontation to conversation. Elon's vivid descriptions brought the story to life, the bright California sunlight filtering through his childhood bedroom window, the vastness of space reflecting his dreams, the stillness of prayer in the midst of chaos. These scenes created a cinematic quality that captivated viewers, making them feel part of the journey rather than distant observers. The emotional weight of Elon's story deepened when he spoke about the losses he had endured. The friends and colleagues who had passed away, the personal sacrifices he had made, and the moments of despair that tested his faith. He did not shy away from vulnerability, describing tears shed in solitude and the strength found in hope. This openness shifted the dynamic once again. The hosts, known for their sharp wit and sometimes cutting remarks, softened. One shared a personal story of their own struggle with belief, revealing a side rarely seen on air. This unexpected connection created a powerful moment of empathy, breaking down barriers and opening a space for genuine dialogue. Throughout the journey, Elon remained composed but passionate, weaving together science, faith, and humanity into a narrative that challenged simplistic notions of belief. He argued that faith was not a rejection of reason but a complement, a source of inspiration and resilience that propelled innovation and compassion. The hosts pushed back at times, reflecting the broader societal tensions around religion and secularism. Yet, rather than escalating conflict, these challenges sparked deeper exploration. Elon invited listeners to consider the role of humility and respect in conversations about faith, urging a shift from mockery to understanding. The live broadcast was a tightrope walk, balancing emotion and intellect, conflict and connection. The vivid details of the setting, the studio lights casting shadows, the audience's rapt faces, the subtle shifts in body language, added layers of drama and authenticity. It felt less like a TV show and more like a shared human experience unfolding in real time. As the segment drew to a close, Elon delivered a heartfelt message about the power of belief to sustain people through hardship and inspire greatness. He spoke directly to viewers, inviting them to see faith not as a source of division but as a bridge to empathy and unity. The hosts, visibly moved, thanked Elon for his courage and honesty. The live journey had taken unexpected turns, starting with conflict, moving through hope, and landing on a moment of shared humanity. But Elon knew this was just the beginning. The confrontation on The View had opened a door to deeper questions and challenges ahead. Backstage, the atmosphere was charged with reflection. Elon's team buzzed with reactions, while the hosts discussed the experience with a new perspective on faith and dialogue. Elon himself felt a mix of relief and resolve. He had faced the storm head-on and planted a seed of understanding, but the path forward would demand ongoing courage and grace. The climactic journey had revealed not just the power of confrontation but the possibility of transformation. Elon's story was no longer just about defending faith, it was about redefining how we engage with belief in a complex, divided world. This episode was a vivid chapter in a larger narrative, one that would continue to unfold with all its challenges and breakthroughs. Elon stepped away from the stage knowing the conversation had shifted. The journey was far from over, but the first steps had been taken. The path ahead promised more surprises, struggles, and moments of hope. And through it all, the question remained, could a man known for rockets and electric cars become a voice for faith and respect in a world hungry for both? The answer was unfolding before millions of eyes, a story of courage, connection, and the enduring quest for meaning. The hours following Elon Musk's live confrontation with The View were electric with reaction. Social media platforms buzzed non-stop, commentators dissected every word, and news outlets scrambled to frame what had become more than a television moment. It was a cultural flashpoint. Yet beneath the noise, a profound emotional truth emerged, one that shook not only Elon but millions watching across the nation. Elon, retreating to the quiet of his home after the broadcast, found himself wrestling with feelings he had long kept tucked away. The confrontation had forced him to lay bare the deepest parts of his faith, his pain, and his hope. He realized that the mockery of Jesus wasn't just an attack on a religious figure, it was a symbol of the struggles he and countless others faced daily, the battle to hold on to belief amid skepticism, the yearning for meaning in a world often harsh and unforgiving. In private, Elon revisited memories from his youth, the loneliness, the complicated family ties, the early questions about purpose that shaped him. The confrontation had peeled back the layers, exposing wounds he thought were healed and revealing a raw vulnerability that few had ever seen. The truth was that Elon's faith was a lifeline, but it was also fragile. It was forged in moments of doubt, strengthened by perseverance, and tested by the relentless demands of fame and fortune. As messages of support poured in from unexpected quarters, faith leaders, skeptics, fans, and critics alike, Elon felt a surge of hope mixed with the weight of responsibility. This moment wasn't just about defending Jesus, it was about embracing the complexity of belief in a fractured world. The emotional climax of the story arrived when Elon shared an intimate revelation during a follow-up interview, one that sent ripples far beyond the usual headlines. He spoke candidly about the personal losses that had shaped his understanding of faith, the friends lost too soon, the moments when hope seemed all but gone, and the quiet prayers that carried him through darkness. His voice trembled with honesty as he recounted a night years earlier when he stood alone on a rooftop, staring into the vastness of the stars, feeling utterly small yet connected to something greater. It was in that solitude that Elon said he first truly understood the power of belief, not as a rigid doctrine but as a source of comfort and courage. This revelation struck a chord with viewers everywhere. People saw a side of Elon rarely glimpsed, a man grappling with the same fears and hopes that define the human experience. The emotional impact was profound. Across the nation, conversations shifted from debate to reflection. Religious communities found renewed strength in their faith, while skeptics gained a new appreciation for the personal nature of belief. The story transcended celebrity controversy and became a catalyst for dialogue about empathy, respect, and the shared struggles that unite us all. Elon's ability to express vulnerability in such a public arena was a turning point, breaking down barriers and inviting others to do the same. But the climax didn't end with hope alone. True to the hope, climax pattern that had marked his journey, new challenges arose almost immediately. Some critics accused Elon of exploiting personal stories for public sympathy or questioned the sincerity of his faith. Opponents in the media ramped up attacks, painting the confrontation as a publicity stunt. The cultural divide widened once more as polarized voices clashed over the meaning of Elon's statements. Yet Elon remained steadfast. He refused to retreat into silence or defensiveness. Instead, he leaned into the discomfort, using it to deepen the conversation about faith and humanity. He continued to speak publicly about the struggles of belief, the need for humility, and the power of love to heal wounds. The emotional climax revealed that faith, for Elon and many others, was not a simple answer but an ongoing journey filled with tension and hope. It was a dance between certainty and doubt, strength and vulnerability. This truth resonated with a broad audience, touching something universal beneath the noise of controversy. As the days passed, the story evolved. Elon's confrontation with The View sparked new initiatives, public forums, interfaith dialogues, and charitable efforts aimed at bridging divides. Elon himself became more open about the role of spirituality in his life, challenging stereotypes about technology leaders and faith. The climax had opened doors to new possibilities, demonstrating that even the most unexpected figures could influence the cultural conversation in meaningful ways. In reflecting on this turning point, Elon often returned to the lesson that had carried him through, that life's most profound truths are found not in certainty but in the willingness to face our fears, share our stories, and seek connection. The emotional climax of his story wasn't a neat resolution but a powerful moment of transformation. One that invited everyone watching to reconsider what it means to believe, to hope, and to stand up for what matters. As the nation absorbed this lesson, Elon's journey continued, marked by the courage to confront both external challenges and the inner truths that define us all. The emotional climax was not an end but a gateway, opening the path toward healing, understanding, and a deeper appreciation for the complexity of faith in the modern world. After the storm of controversy and the emotional crescendo of confrontation, Elon Musk found himself standing at a crossroads, not just in his public life but in his private journey. The days following his live appearance on The View were a period of intense reflection, where the raw emotions and revelations gave way to deeper understanding and a search for meaning beyond the headlines. Elon realized that this moment marked more than just a public defense of faith, it was a profound turning point in how he saw himself, his purpose, and his relationships with those around him. The backlash and support he received formed a complex mosaic that challenged his assumptions and broadened his perspective. In the quiet hours of early mornings, Elon contemplated the lessons that had emerged from the conflict. He thought about the line he had spoken during the interview, "Life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way." Those words resonated deeply now, becoming a mantra that shaped his next steps. The resolution of the story was not about winning arguments or silencing critics, it was about embracing vulnerability and the transformative power of love, whether through faith, family, or friendship. Elon's relationships, long strained by the demands of his career and the weight of public scrutiny, began to shift. He reached out more openly to his mother, May, sharing the emotional toll the controversy had taken and drawing strength from her steady support. He also mended fences with old friends who had felt distanced by his rising fame and the intensity of his focus on work. These reconnections grounded him, reminding Elon that success was incomplete without meaningful human connection. Reflecting on his romantic relationships, Elon realized how important empathy and patience were. The confrontation had taught him that true connection required honesty and the willingness to share one's deepest fears and hopes. This insight influenced how he approached love, not as a transaction or a distraction but as a source of resilience and growth. Beyond personal relationships, Elon felt a renewed sense of mission. He understood that his public platform carried responsibility, not just for innovation in technology but for fostering dialogue and understanding across cultural divides. The clash over faith and mockery had exposed the fragility of social cohesion and the urgent need for compassion in public discourse. Motivated by this insight, Elon began initiatives aimed at encouraging respectful conversations about belief and values. He partnered with faith leaders, educators, and community organizers to create forums that welcomed diverse perspectives and promoted empathy. These efforts reflected his commitment to turning conflict into opportunity, building bridges where walls once stood. The resolution also brought Elon a clearer vision of balance, between reason and faith, ambition and humility, public life and private reflection. He acknowledged that the journey of faith was ongoing, marked by moments of doubt and renewal, struggle and peace. This acceptance allowed him to shed the pressure of perfection and embrace a more authentic self. In interviews and speeches following the controversy, Elon spoke candidly about the transformation he had undergone. He shared how the experience deepened his understanding of love, not just romantic or familial, but a universal force capable of healing wounds and inspiring courage. His message was simple yet profound: in a world of division, love offers a path forward. The public responded with overwhelming appreciation. People from all walks of life found hope in Elon's words, inspired by his willingness to confront difficult truths and emerge with compassion. His story became a beacon, reminding Americans that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found. The resolution of the story carried a meaningful message for the audience, that challenges, no matter how daunting, can lead to growth and new beginnings when met with courage and love. Elon's journey, from the viral mockery to the emotional climax and finally to this place of reflection, offered a powerful example of resilience and transformation. As the chapter closed, Elon stood ready to face the future with renewed faith, strengthened relationships, and a deeper commitment to using his voice and influence for good. The confrontation that once threatened to divide had instead become a catalyst for connection and understanding. The story ended not with a simple victory but with a profound truth: life is unpredictable, often harsh, but love remains the constant that guides us home. In the weeks following Elon Musk's emotional and transformative appearance on The View, the ripple effects of his confrontation continued to grow, extending far beyond the initial controversy. While many embraced his message of love and faith, a new wave of challenges emerged, testing Elon's resolve and forcing him to navigate a complex web of public scrutiny, corporate pressure, and personal reflection. The fallout was immediate and multifaceted. Media outlets that had once praised Elon's candidness began to question his motives, some accusing him of leveraging faith as a publicity tool. Social media, a double-edged sword in the modern age, erupted with heated debates. Trolls and critics sharpened their attacks, while supporters rallied fiercely around him. This polarized response revealed the deep cultural divide still present in America, where discussions about religion and public figures often ignite passionate, sometimes hostile, reactions. Elon found himself at the center of a storm that blurred the lines between personal belief and public persona. His companies, Tesla and SpaceX, were not immune to the controversy. Investors and board members expressed concern that the ongoing discourse might affect shareholder confidence or alienate key demographics. Internally, employees were divided. Some felt inspired by Elon's openness, while others worried that the debates could disrupt workplace harmony. Amid this pressure, Elon faced difficult choices. He was determined not to back down from his convictions, yet he also recognized the need to maintain focus on his professional responsibilities. Balancing these demands required careful navigation and, at times, painful compromise. Meanwhile, political figures and advocacy groups seized on the controversy, each interpreting Elon's statements to fit their own agendas. Some conservative leaders praised his defense of traditional values, while progressive activists accused him of promoting divisiveness. The intersection of faith, politics, and celebrity created a volatile mix that complicated the narrative further. Elon, however, remained committed to transcending partisan divides. In private conversations, he emphasized the importance of empathy and dialogue, urging leaders and citizens alike to move beyond simplistic labels and engage in honest, respectful exchanges. This stance earned him respect from unexpected corners but also criticism from those demanding clear allegiance to one side or the other. On the personal front, Elon's inner circle felt the strain. Friends and family struggled to reconcile the public controversy with the man they knew. His mother, May, was a steady source of comfort, reminding him of the importance of staying true to himself. Yet even the closest relationships were tested by the emotional toll and the relentless spotlight. The confrontation with The View had opened wounds that needed time and care to heal. Elon's romantic relationships, already complicated by his demanding career, faced additional challenges. The emotional vulnerability he had shown on national television invited scrutiny and speculation, making privacy a rare commodity. He realized that moving forward required not only courage but also intentional boundaries and self-care. Professionally, Elon doubled down on his work, using innovation and vision as anchors amid the turbulence. Projects at SpaceX and Tesla pushed forward, driven by his passion for advancing humanity's future. Yet even in these arenas, the influence of the controversy was felt. Public perception, investor confidence, and employee morale all hinged on how Elon managed this multifaceted crisis. The week after the View interview, Elon convened a private meeting with his top executives and advisors. The conversation was candid, focusing on strategies to address the ongoing fallout while preserving the company's core values and mission. Elon stressed the importance of authenticity, urging his team not to shy away from difficult conversations but to approach them with integrity and openness. This approach, though risky, reflected Elon's belief that true leadership required embracing complexity rather than seeking easy answers. The meeting also marked the beginning of new initiatives aimed at fostering inclusivity within his companies. Elon championed programs encouraging dialogue among employees of diverse backgrounds, recognizing that understanding different perspectives was essential in a world increasingly divided. These efforts mirrored his broader vision for society, a place where faith and reason, tradition and progress, could coexist and enrich one another. Publicly, Elon continued to engage with media and social platforms, sharing updates on his projects while addressing questions about faith and controversy. His tone was measured but passionate, reinforcing his commitment to bridging divides and promoting respect. Yet every statement was scrutinized, every word parsed for meaning, fueling an ongoing cycle of debate. As the controversy evolved, new allies emerged. Faith leaders, scholars, and cultural commentators reached out to Elon, expressing support and offering opportunities for collaboration. Together, they envisioned forums and initiatives designed to foster understanding and combat polarization. Elon embraced these partnerships, seeing them as extensions of his personal journey and a chance to effect positive change on a larger scale. At the same time, Elon faced internal doubts and moments of isolation. The emotional climax of the View confrontation had revealed deep vulnerabilities, and now the extended fallout brought fresh challenges. He grappled with questions about identity, purpose, and the true cost of public faith. These reflections were not easy, but they fueled his growth and deepened his commitment to authenticity. The story of Elon Musk's confrontation with The View was no longer just a headline, it had become a complex, evolving narrative about courage, resilience, and the power of belief in a fractured world. The fallout tested Elon's mettle, revealing both the fragility and strength of his character. Through the challenges, he learned that growth often comes through adversity, that leadership requires not only vision but humility, and that the most meaningful connections are forged in the crucible of struggle. As Chapter 7 closed, Elon stood firm, ready to face whatever new challenges lay ahead. His journey was far from over, but the lessons learned thus far had equipped him with the wisdom and resolve to continue. The confrontation had sparked a fire, one that would continue to shape his life and the cultural landscape in profound ways. The next chapters promised more trials and triumphs, but Elon was prepared, because he had discovered that the true measure of faith is not in easy victories but in the courage to stand strong when the world is watching. As the dust from Elon Musk's confrontation with The View began to settle, a surprising and vital development emerged: unexpected alliances formed across cultural, religious, and political lines. In a time marked by division and discord, Elon's experience had sparked something rare, a collective willingness to engage in dialogue and build bridges where walls once stood. These alliances were not forged overnight but through persistent effort, openness, and a shared desire to find common ground in the face of controversy. Elon, recognizing the power of collaboration, reached out beyond his usual circles to faith leaders of various denominations, interfaith organizations, community activists, and even some critics who had softened their stance. These conversations were sometimes uncomfortable but always honest, as each participant sought to understand rather than simply to be heard. Among the most significant partnerships was with Reverend Grace Thompson, a charismatic pastor from a large urban church known for her progressive views. Grace had initially been skeptical of Elon's public faith, wary of what she perceived as performative gestures. Yet after watching his candid interview and subsequent efforts to promote empathy, she decided to engage directly. Their meetings became a space for challenging assumptions and discovering shared values. Grace spoke of the importance of social justice, community support, and healing historical wounds, while Elon shared his journey of doubt, hope, and resilience. Together, they began envisioning initiatives that could address both spiritual and societal needs. Another key figure was Imam Rashid al-Hassan, a respected Muslim leader who emphasized the need for interfaith harmony in an increasingly polarized world. Imam Rashid and Elon found common ground in their belief that technology and faith could coexist, each enhancing human potential in complementary ways. Their dialogue highlighted the importance of mutual respect and understanding, setting an example for their communities. These relationships culminated in the planning of a public forum titled, Bridges of Faith and Reason, an event designed to bring diverse voices together for respectful conversation. Elon played a central role in organizing and promoting the forum, seeing it as an opportunity to turn conflict into connection. The event featured panel discussions, personal testimonies, and workshops aimed at fostering empathy and dispelling misconceptions. The day of the forum arrived amid much anticipation. Held in a large community center in a city known for its diversity, the space was filled with people representing a broad spectrum of backgrounds, religious and secular, young and old, hopeful and skeptical. Elon, Grace, Imam Rashid, and other leaders took the stage to welcome attendees, emphasizing the shared humanity that transcended differences. Throughout the forum, participants engaged in deep conversations, sometimes challenging, sometimes affirming. Stories of struggle and redemption, faith and doubt, love and loss were shared openly. Elon himself spoke with heartfelt vulnerability, recounting moments of despair and renewal, the impact of the View confrontation, and his vision for a more compassionate society. The atmosphere was electric with possibility. Attendees left the forum inspired and moved, many expressing a renewed commitment to dialogue and understanding in their own communities. Media coverage highlighted the event as a beacon of hope in a divided nation, praising Elon and the coalition of leaders for their courage and initiative. The unexpected alliances formed through these efforts rippled outward, influencing other sectors. Educational institutions incorporated discussions of faith and science into their curricula, workplaces introduced programs promoting religious literacy and inclusion, and grassroots organizations launched campaigns to combat hate and foster unity. Elon continued to champion these initiatives, using his platform to amplify voices that might otherwise go unheard. Yet building bridges was not without challenges. Critics on all sides accused Elon of compromising principles or pandering to opposing views. Some feared that such efforts might dilute deeply held beliefs or enable harmful ideologies. Elon met these criticisms with patience and clarity, reiterating that true understanding did not require uniformity but respect for diversity. His approach was grounded in humility, acknowledging that no one had all the answers but that everyone deserved a seat at the table. This philosophy began to influence public discourse, encouraging more nuanced conversations and reducing the hostility that had characterized earlier debates. Elon's personal growth was evident in these moments. He had moved from confrontation to collaboration, from defending faith to embodying it through action. The alliances he built reflected a maturity born of experience, a recognition that strength lies not in division but in unity. In his private life, these developments brought renewed joy and connection. Elon's relationships deepened as he applied the lessons of empathy and openness. He found peace in knowing that even amidst conflict, love and understanding could prevail. The chapter closed with Elon reflecting on the journey that had led him here. From the fiery confrontation on live television to the quiet moments of shared humanity in a community center, he saw a narrative of transformation not just for himself but for a nation hungry for healing. The unexpected alliances were proof that even the most entrenched divides could be bridged with courage, compassion, and the willingness to listen. Elon's story was evolving from one of controversy to one of hope, a hope grounded in the belief that when we dare to connect across difference, we open the door to a future defined not by conflict but by shared purpose and love. Despite the outward appearance of progress and unity, Elon Musk's journey was far from smooth. Beneath the public triumphs and the hopeful alliances, he grappled daily with intense internal battles, demons that had haunted him long before the View confrontation and now surged with renewed force. These private struggles underscored the complexity of Elon's character, revealing the emotional depths behind the media spotlight and public persona. The controversy had thrust his faith and vulnerabilities into the open, but the road to healing was neither quick nor easy. Elon faced moments of profound doubt, anxiety, and isolation. The immense pressure to maintain composure while being scrutinized by millions weighed heavily on him. Late nights were often spent wrestling with questions that had no clear answers. Was his faith strong enough? Could he lead with integrity amid relentless criticism? Was he sacrificing his personal well-being for a public cause? These questions were compounded by the challenges of balancing his roles as CEO, innovator, and public figure. Elon's mind often raced between technical problems and existential dilemmas, leaving little room for rest. Sleep became elusive, and moments of solitude, once a refuge, sometimes deepened feelings of loneliness. Yet within this darkness, Elon discovered a surprising source of strength: acceptance. He began to embrace the idea that struggle was an inherent part of growth and that vulnerability was not a weakness but a path to authenticity. This shift in perspective was neither sudden nor easy but emerged gradually through reflection, prayer, and conversations with trusted confidants. One key figure in Elon's private battle was his longtime friend and advisor, Lisa Carter. Lisa had known Elon since his early days in Silicon Valley and provided a steadying influence during turbulent times. She encouraged him to seek professional support, including therapy and spiritual counseling, reminding him that even the strongest leaders need help. With Lisa's support, Elon began a journey toward healing that involved confronting painful memories and unspoken fears. Therapy sessions unearthed wounds from childhood, feelings of abandonment, the pressure to succeed, and the loneliness that came with being different. These sessions were emotionally taxing but transformative. Elon learned to recognize patterns of self-criticism and perfectionism that had fueled his anxiety and to cultivate self-compassion instead. Parallel to this psychological work was a deepening of his spiritual practice. Elon reconnected with his faith in ways that felt personal and sincere rather than performative. Meditation, prayer, and reading sacred texts became daily rituals that grounded him. He found solace in the stories of perseverance and redemption that echoed his own struggles. These practices nurtured a sense of peace amid chaos, helping him navigate the highs and lows with greater resilience. Yet the internal battle was ongoing. There were days when doubt returned with full force, when the noise of criticism seemed unbearable, and when Elon questioned whether his efforts were making any difference. During these times, he leaned heavily on his support network, family, friends, spiritual leaders, and on the lessons of patience and persistence. He reminded himself that transformation was a process, not a destination. Elon's private struggles also affected his relationships. At times, his emotional vulnerability created distance or misunderstandings with those closest to him. He learned to communicate more openly about his needs and fears, fostering deeper intimacy and trust. These changes were subtle but significant, strengthening bonds and creating a foundation for mutual support. The contrast between Elon's public image as a visionary entrepreneur and his private battles highlighted the often unseen cost of fame and leadership. It was a reminder that behind headlines and achievements are real human beings grappling with universal challenges. Elon's story resonated with many who faced their own struggles in silence, offering hope that vulnerability can lead to strength. As the chapter unfolded, Elon also confronted the temptation to retreat into isolation or defensiveness. He recognized that engaging with critics and skeptics required courage but also wisdom, knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to defend and when to let go. This discernment was crucial in maintaining his integrity and mental health. The public and private battles intertwined, shaping Elon's evolving identity. Each challenge deepened his empathy and sharpened his leadership. The experience reinforced his belief that true courage involves embracing complexity, standing firm in one's values while remaining open to growth. As Chapter 9 came to a close, Elon stood at a new threshold. He was not yet free from doubt or struggle, but he had cultivated tools and insights that gave him hope. His journey was a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of seeking help. In the face of relentless pressure and personal demons, Elon found a way to keep moving forward, anchored by faith, love, and the unwavering desire to make a positive impact. This chapter in his life was a quiet victory, one that often goes unseen but is no less significant than public acclaim. Elon's story continued, a living testament to the human capacity for growth amid adversity. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? After months of navigating public backlash and wrestling with his own internal battles, Elon Musk reached a pivotal turning point in his journey. The initial storm of controversy sparked by his confrontation on The View had begun to evolve into something far more meaningful, a catalyst for personal transformation and social change. This shift was neither sudden nor easy but the result of persistent reflection, courageous action, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. In the weeks leading up to this turning point, Elon immersed himself in projects that combined his passions for technology, faith, and community. He spearheaded the launch of a new initiative called Faith and Future, a program designed to explore the intersection of spirituality and innovation. The initiative brought together scientists, theologians, entrepreneurs, and artists to foster dialogue and collaboration on issues ranging from artificial intelligence ethics to environmental stewardship and human purpose. Faith and Future quickly gained traction, attracting attention from diverse sectors eager to participate in the conversation. The program's inaugural conference, held in Silicon Valley, was a milestone event. Elon delivered the keynote address, speaking from the heart about his own journey. The confrontation on The View, the fallout, and the lessons learned. He emphasized that faith and reason were not enemies but partners in humanity's quest for meaning and progress. His message resonated deeply, earning praise for its sincerity and insight. Alongside the conference, Elon used his social media platforms to share stories of everyday people whose lives were transformed by combining faith with innovation. These narratives highlighted the human dimension behind abstract debates, showcasing resilience, creativity, and hope. Elon's transparency and humility in sharing his own struggles and growth helped dismantle the stereotype of the infallible tech titan, making him relatable and inspiring. This period also marked a shift in Elon's leadership style. He moved away from the lone visionary archetype to a more collaborative approach, valuing diverse perspectives and fostering inclusive environments. He recognized that complex challenges required collective wisdom and that embracing vulnerability could strengthen rather than weaken leadership. Elon's teams at Tesla and SpaceX felt this change, experiencing a culture that encouraged open dialogue, ethical reflection, and mutual support. These shifts contributed to breakthroughs in innovation and employee satisfaction, demonstrating that values and vision could coexist with business success. Beyond his professional life, Elon deepened his engagement with community service and philanthropy. He supported initiatives addressing homelessness, education, and mental health, often partnering with faith-based organizations. These efforts were expressions of his belief that true progress must uplift the whole person and the whole society. Elon's personal relationships flourished as well. The lessons from his internal battles and public challenges enriched his connections with family and friends. He practiced active listening, empathy, and patience, building stronger, more authentic bonds. Romantic relationships, too, benefited from this growth, as Elon approached love with greater openness and vulnerability. The turning point was not without setbacks. Critics remained vocal, and unexpected challenges emerged, reminding Elon that transformation is a continuous journey. Yet he met these obstacles with resilience, viewing them as opportunities to deepen his understanding and refine his approach. In interviews and public appearances, Elon spoke candidly about the ongoing nature of growth and the importance of hope. This openness endeared him to a broader audience and helped shift the cultural conversation from conflict to collaboration. The climax of this chapter came during a nationally televised town hall event titled Faith, Future, and Unity. Hosted by a respected journalist, the event brought together leaders from various fields to discuss the themes central to Elon's journey. Elon's participation was a highlight, where he articulated a vision of America united by shared values of compassion, innovation, and respect. His eloquence and sincerity moved viewers and participants alike, marking a moment of reconciliation and possibility. As the chapter closed, Elon reflected on how far he had come, from a confrontation that seemed divisive to a role as a catalyst for dialogue and healing. He acknowledged that the journey was ongoing, filled with complexities and uncertainties, but he faced the future with renewed purpose and optimism. The turning point symbolized more than a personal victory, it was a beacon for a society grappling with division and searching for pathways to unity. Elon's story, once centered on conflict, was now a testament to the transformative power of courage, faith, and love. The chapter ended with a powerful reminder: true change begins not in moments of ease but in the willingness to confront challenges head-on and to grow through them. Following the pivotal turning point marked by Elon Musk's Faith and Future initiative and the nationally televised town hall, the ripple effects of his journey began to extend far beyond his immediate circle. What started as a personal and controversial confrontation had blossomed into a broader movement, inspiring individuals and communities across the country to reconsider the relationship between faith, innovation, and social unity. The cultural landscape, once sharply divided, showed subtle but meaningful signs of transformation. One of the most striking developments was the emergence of grassroots groups dedicated to fostering dialogue and collaboration modeled after Elon's example. These groups formed in urban centers, rural towns, and academic institutions, drawing people from diverse backgrounds eager to engage in respectful conversations about spirituality and progress. Members shared stories of how Elon's public vulnerability had encouraged them to confront their own doubts and prejudices, sparking healing in fractured communities. In cities like Atlanta, Denver, and Minneapolis, local leaders organized forums and workshops that reflected the themes of empathy, inclusion, and ethical innovation. These events attracted broad attendance, from faith communities and tech enthusiasts to educators and social activists. The energy was palpable. People were hungry for connection and understanding in a polarized age. National media began covering these grassroots movements, highlighting how Elon's story had become a catalyst for change. Documentaries, podcasts, and opinion pieces explored the nuances of faith in public life, the challenges of innovation, and the importance of unity. Elon's involvement was often cited as a turning point that shifted the narrative from confrontation to collaboration. Meanwhile, within the tech industry, a subtle but significant shift took place. Influential leaders and startups began incorporating ethical frameworks inspired by the Faith and Future ethos into their mission statements and practices. Questions about the societal impact of technology, corporate responsibility, and the role of spirituality in guiding innovation gained prominence in boardrooms and conferences. Elon's companies led by example, showcasing how values-driven leadership could fuel both technological advancement and social good. This cultural shift was also reflected in education. Universities introduced interdisciplinary courses exploring science, ethics, and spirituality, encouraging students to think critically and compassionately about the future. Scholarships and research grants funded projects that bridged these fields, fostering a new generation of leaders equipped to navigate complex challenges with wisdom and heart. Social media platforms, often criticized for fostering division, saw pockets of positive engagement inspired by the movement. Influencers, activists, and everyday users participated in campaigns promoting kindness, listening, and fact-based dialogue. Elon himself remained active online, sharing content that emphasized hope and resilience, and engaging respectfully with critics and supporters alike. Yet the movement was not without obstacles. Resistance came from entrenched interests wary of change and from individuals uncomfortable with blending faith and public discourse. Some critics accused the movement of diluting religious or scientific integrity, while others feared it would exacerbate cultural conflicts. Elon and his allies addressed these concerns by reaffirming their commitment to respect for diversity and to dialogue grounded in honesty and humility. They emphasized that the movement did not seek to impose beliefs but to create space for all voices, fostering unity without uniformity. The ripple effects extended internationally as well. Faith and innovation leaders from around the world reached out to Elon and his network, eager to replicate the model of dialogue and collaboration. Conferences and exchanges were organized, connecting people across continents who shared a vision for a more compassionate and innovative future. These global connections enriched the movement, bringing new perspectives and deepening its impact. On a personal level, Elon felt a profound sense of fulfillment and responsibility. The movement he helped ignite was larger than himself, fueled by countless individuals committed to making a difference. He recognized the importance of stepping back at times to allow others to lead while continuing to support and inspire from behind the scenes. This humility marked a significant evolution in his leadership and personal growth. As Chapter 11 drew to a close, the narrative shifted from individual struggle to collective empowerment. Elon's story was no longer just about one man confronting media controversy but about a society awakening to the possibility of healing through empathy and shared purpose. The movement's growth was a testament to the power of courage and authenticity to transform not only lives but entire communities and cultures. The chapter ended with a poignant reflection: in a world often defined by division, the smallest ripple can spark a wave of change that reshapes the course of history. Elon Musk's journey had become that ripple, a beacon illuminating the way toward a future where faith and innovation walk hand in hand, guiding humanity toward unity and hope. Just as Elon Musk's movement for faith and innovation gained momentum, a new media storm unexpectedly reignited the controversy surrounding his confrontation with The View. The renewed scrutiny was sparked by a provocative opinion piece published in a major national outlet, questioning Elon's sincerity and accusing him of leveraging faith for personal gain. This article quickly went viral, reopening wounds and stirring intense debate across social media, news networks, and public forums. For Elon, this resurgence of criticism was a daunting reminder of how fragile public perception can be and how deeply polarized society remained. Despite the progress made through dialogue and alliance building, the media's hunger for sensationalism threatened to overshadow the deeper message of unity and empathy that he had worked so hard to promote. The article's sharp tone questioned whether Elon's spiritual journey was authentic or merely a strategic move to salvage his reputation after the View incident. It accused him of exploiting religious sentiments to appeal to conservative audiences, suggesting that his actions were calculated rather than heartfelt. Headlines framed the story as a faith controversy redux, fueling outrage among critics and emboldening detractors. Elon's team quickly moved into crisis management mode. Press statements emphasized the genuine nature of his transformation and highlighted testimonials from faith leaders and collaborators who could attest to his sincerity. Elon himself avoided the temptation to respond with defensiveness or aggression. Instead, he chose a different approach: openness and vulnerability. In a candid video posted on his social media channels, Elon addressed the criticism head-on. He acknowledged the complexity of his journey, the mistakes made, and the ongoing work required to align his actions with his values. He spoke about the challenge of being in the public eye, the personal cost of scrutiny, and the importance of maintaining integrity amid noise. The response was mixed but largely positive, with many applauding his humility and honesty. Nevertheless, the media storm triggered a wave of polarized conversations. Supporters rallied behind Elon, defending his character and mission, while opponents doubled down on skepticism and condemnation. Talk shows, podcasts, and online forums became battlegrounds for competing narratives, reflecting the deep cultural divides that defined the era. Elon found himself once again at the center of a societal tug-of-war, a symbol both celebrated and vilified. Amid this turbulence, Elon leaned heavily on the principles that had guided his growth: empathy, patience, and resilience. He increased his efforts to engage directly with critics through interviews and public discussions, seeking to bridge gaps rather than deepen rifts. These interactions were not always easy, some were confrontational, others nuanced, but they reinforced Elon's commitment to dialogue as a tool for understanding. Behind the scenes, Elon's trusted advisors urged caution and strategic communication. They helped craft messages that balanced transparency with professionalism, ensuring that the core mission of faith and innovation remained front and center. Elon also prioritized self-care, recognizing the toll that relentless criticism could take on mental and emotional health. Meditation, spiritual reflection, and time spent with close friends and family provided crucial support during this period. The media storm also underscored the evolving role of digital platforms in shaping public discourse. Elon became an advocate for responsible social media use, calling on platforms to promote fact-based conversations and to mitigate harassment and misinformation. He supported initiatives aimed at improving media literacy and encouraging critical thinking among audiences. These efforts aligned with the broader goals of the movement, reinforcing the idea that technology must be harnessed ethically to serve society. Despite the challenges, the renewed controversy did not derail the movement. Instead, it highlighted the ongoing need for patience and perseverance in pursuing cultural change. Elon's experience served as a case study in resilience, how to maintain focus and authenticity amid external pressures and conflicting narratives. The chapter culminated in a high-profile panel discussion where Elon and media critics shared the stage to debate the intersection of faith, leadership, and public accountability. The event was tense but constructive, modeled on the principles of respect and openness that Elon championed. Audience members witnessed a raw and honest exchange, illuminating the complexities of navigating public life in a hyper-connected world. As Chapter 12 closed, Elon reflected on the cyclical nature of his journey, the ebbs and flows of acceptance and rejection, the interplay of light and shadow. He understood that controversy would likely be a lifelong companion but that it need not define his legacy. The true measure of success, he believed, lay in the impact of the movement he had helped ignite, a movement that transcended headlines and touched hearts. The chapter ended with a powerful assertion: in a world where voices often clash and narratives compete, courage is found not in silencing dissent but in listening deeply, responding with grace, and staying true to one's convictions. As Elon Musk's public journey continued to unfold, the relentless media attention began to take an undeniable toll on his private life. The intersection of fame, controversy, and his mission to bridge faith and innovation created a complex web of pressures that strained his relationships with family and close friends. Behind the headlines and public appearances, Elon grappled with the challenge of maintaining intimacy and trust in a world that seemed eager to dissect every aspect of his life. Elon's family had always been a cornerstone of his emotional world. His mother, May, a former model and dietitian, was a steadfast supporter who often reminded him of the importance of grounding oneself in love amid chaos. His siblings, with whom he shared childhood memories marked by both affection and rivalry, also played vital roles. Yet the demands of his public life made regular connection difficult. Time zones, business travel, and the omnipresent spotlight created physical and emotional distance. Elon's romantic relationships, too, faced pressures unique to his status. The scrutiny and speculation that accompanied every public gesture often left little room for privacy or genuine connection. At times, Elon found himself withdrawing, fearing that openness could be weaponized or misunderstood. This cycle of withdrawal and guardedness threatened to erode bonds that were essential for his well-being. A pivotal moment came during a family gathering in Los Angeles, meant to be a rare respite from public life. Despite efforts to create a relaxed atmosphere, the weight of unspoken tensions was palpable. Elon's younger brother Kimball, who ran his own ventures focused on sustainable food, gently confronted Elon about the emotional toll of constant public scrutiny. "You're carrying too much alone," Kimball said. "You don't have to be the rock all the time." The conversation opened a door for Elon to acknowledge his vulnerabilities to those he trusted most. It was a small but significant step toward rebuilding intimacy and sharing the burden. Elon also leaned on longtime friends like Lisa Carter, who had supported him through previous struggles. Lisa encouraged Elon to prioritize mental health, suggesting retreats and therapy sessions focused on stress management and emotional resilience. Elon reluctantly embraced these recommendations, finding that professional guidance helped him navigate the complexities of his dual public and private roles. The process was far from smooth. Old habits of self-reliance and perfectionism were hard to break, but over time, Elon developed healthier coping strategies. He learned to set boundaries around his time and energy, allowing for moments of rest and reflection without guilt. On the romantic front, Elon's approach evolved as well. He began to communicate more openly about the unique challenges they faced as a couple in the public eye, seeking mutual understanding and support. These conversations, though sometimes difficult, laid the groundwork for deeper connection and trust. Throughout this chapter, the tension between Elon's public persona and private self was a central theme. The media's relentless gaze often blurred the lines between these worlds, complicating his efforts to find balance. Elon became increasingly vocal about the need for compassion and respect toward public figures' personal lives, advocating for boundaries that protect mental health and family relationships. This advocacy resonated with many who saw parallels in their own lives, balancing professional demands and personal well-being amid societal pressures. The chapter also explored how Elon's faith played a crucial role in sustaining him during these times. Spiritual practices offered a refuge, a source of meaning beyond the noise. Prayer, meditation, and community engagement nurtured a sense of connection and hope. These practices reminded Elon that he was part of a larger story, one that transcended individual struggles. As the chapter progressed, Elon's journey toward balancing fame and family revealed growth in emotional intelligence and humility. He recognized that vulnerability was not a liability but a strength that fostered authentic relationships. This insight led to renewed efforts to engage meaningfully with loved ones, valuing quality over quantity of time. The chapter culminated in a heartfelt scene where Elon, during a rare quiet evening at home, shared an intimate conversation with May. They reflected on the highs and lows of the past months, the lessons learned, and the hope for a more grounded future. May's words, "You're human, Elon. That's the most important thing to remember," echoed in his mind as a guiding truth. As Chapter 13 closed, Elon stood at a crossroads between the demands of public life and the sanctuary of private love. The path ahead required courage to maintain boundaries, openness to growth, and commitment to the relationships that gave his life depth and meaning. The chapter ended with a poignant reminder: no matter the heights of success or the depths of challenge, it is the connections we nurture in private that sustain us in public. As the waves of public controversy continued to ripple outward from Elon Musk's confrontation on The View and his subsequent journey, an unexpected development began to take shape. Alliances formed across ideological and cultural divides. These alliances, forged in a spirit of dialogue and mutual respect, became a powerful testament to the possibility of unity in a deeply fragmented society. Elon, who had always been a polarizing figure, found himself at the center of a growing network of individuals and organizations committed to bridging divides through conversation. This network included religious leaders from various faith traditions, progressive activists, conservative thinkers, scientists, educators, and everyday citizens tired of conflict and eager for solutions. The genesis of these unexpected alliances traced back to a series of invitation-only roundtable discussions hosted by Elon's Faith and Future initiative. These gatherings were designed to be safe spaces where participants could share perspectives without fear of judgment or hostility. The format emphasized active listening and storytelling, allowing participants to see beyond stereotypes and assumptions. One particularly memorable session brought together a diverse group including Reverend Sarah Jenkins, a progressive evangelical pastor, Marcus Lee, a secular tech entrepreneur advocating for AI ethics, Dr. Amina Hassan, an Islamic scholar, and Karen Mitchell, a conservative journalist known for her sharp commentary. Despite their differences, the participants found common ground in their shared commitment to addressing societal challenges with empathy and integrity. Elon, though a central figure, often took a step back in these discussions, encouraging others to lead in fostering an atmosphere of equality. The conversations delved into complex issues such as the role of technology in shaping human identity, the ethical implications of genetic engineering, climate change, and the search for meaning in an increasingly secular world. Through these dialogues, participants began to break down barriers, discovering shared values and hopes that transcended political or religious affiliations. News of these gatherings leaked to the public, sparking curiosity and intrigue. Media outlets framed the meetings as a rare example of civil discourse in a time of heightened polarization. Public response was mixed. Some praised the efforts as visionary and necessary, while others remained skeptical, viewing them as unlikely or even naive. Undeterred, Elon and his allies pressed on, organizing larger forums and inviting more voices into the conversation. One breakthrough moment came when a televised panel, featuring representatives from these diverse groups, engaged in a candid and respectful debate on the future of faith and technology. The event attracted millions of viewers, many of whom expressed surprise and appreciation for the tone of the dialogue. The panelists acknowledged disagreements but emphasized the importance of continued engagement and the shared responsibility to build a just and compassionate future. These alliances also extended beyond dialogue into collaborative projects. For example, Elon partnered with faith-based environmental organizations and secular sustainability groups to launch a nationwide campaign promoting renewable energy and conservation. This initiative mobilized volunteers across the political spectrum, demonstrating that practical action could unite people even when beliefs diverged. In education, interdisciplinary curricula were developed to integrate ethical reasoning and spiritual perspectives into STEM programs, preparing students to approach innovation with both skill and conscience. As these efforts gained visibility, Elon's role evolved from controversial media figure to bridge builder and convener. His ability to catalyze dialogue and foster collaboration became a defining aspect of his public identity. Yet he remained mindful of the challenges inherent in this work. Building trust across divides required patience, humility, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Elon often reflected on the early days of conflict, recognizing how far he had come and how much work remained. The chapter explored the personal dimensions of these alliances as well. Elon developed friendships with individuals whose backgrounds and beliefs differed markedly from his own. These relationships enriched his understanding and challenged his assumptions. Through shared meals, long conversations, and joint projects, barriers dissolved and empathy deepened. Elon's vulnerability in sharing his journey inspired others to reveal their own struggles and hopes, creating a ripple effect of openness. Despite the progress, the alliances faced external pressures. Some factions accused participants of compromising principles or betraying their communities. Elon and his colleagues navigated these critiques by reaffirming their commitment to respectful dialogue and mutual learning. They emphasized that unity did not require uniformity but celebrated diversity as a source of strength. The chapter closed with a powerful scene capturing one of the roundtable discussions late into the night. Participants, exhausted yet energized, acknowledged that the path toward healing and unity was long and winding. Elon's closing words encapsulated the spirit of the movement: "We may not always agree, but when we listen with open hearts, we discover that our differences are not walls but bridges waiting to be crossed." As Chapter 14 ended, the narrative highlighted a profound truth: unexpected allies can emerge when courage meets compassion, and that in the spaces between conflict lies the potential for profound connection and transformation. Elon Musk's journey had transcended personal controversy to become a beacon of hope for a divided world. After months of turbulence marked by controversy, dialogue, and personal growth, a subtle but undeniable shift began to emerge in public opinion regarding Elon Musk's confrontation with the View and his broader mission intertwining faith and innovation. What once seemed like an insurmountable cultural chasm started to narrow, as more Americans engaged with the deeper questions Elon's journey raised about identity, belief, and progress. The turning point was not a single event but rather a confluence of moments that gradually reshaped perceptions. One key factor was the growing visibility of the grassroots movements and alliances that had blossomed from Elon's initial confrontation. These groups, with their emphasis on empathy, respect, and action, resonated with people tired of division and eager for hope. Stories of individuals who had experienced personal transformation through these conversations circulated widely on social media and in local news. Another influence was the media's evolving portrayal of Elon. Following the intense scrutiny and sensational headlines, a more nuanced narrative began to take hold. Journalists and commentators who had initially criticized him started highlighting the positive impact of his efforts, the authenticity of his personal growth, and the constructive conversations he fostered. Documentaries and profiles painted a fuller picture of Elon, not just as a controversial figure but as a complex human being grappling with universal struggles. Public opinion polls reflected these shifts. While polarization remained, surveys indicated increasing respect for Elon's sincerity and leadership, particularly among younger generations and those open to dialogue across ideological lines. Pollsters noted that many respondents appreciated his willingness to confront difficult topics and his emphasis on unity. The turning point also coincided with Elon's strategic communication efforts. He refined his messaging to focus on shared values, hope, resilience, compassion, rather than conflict. Public appearances, interviews, and social media posts were crafted to inspire and uplift, showcasing stories of collaboration and progress rather than controversy. These efforts humanized Elon and made his mission more accessible to a broader audience. A particularly significant moment occurred during a national town hall meeting broadcast live, where Elon engaged with citizens from diverse backgrounds. The event was characterized by candid questions and heartfelt answers, addressing concerns about faith, technology, social justice, and the future of America. Elon's humility, openness, and willingness to listen resonated deeply, breaking down barriers of suspicion and skepticism. This town hall was widely praised for its tone and content, becoming a model for civil discourse in a divided age. The chapter also explored the challenges that accompanied this shift. Not everyone embraced the changes, and some critics intensified their opposition, fearing that Elon's influence might overshadow other voices or distort faith for personal gain. These tensions underscored the ongoing complexity of navigating public life and cultural change. Elon and his allies continued to emphasize the importance of inclusivity and diversity within the movement. The turning point brought new opportunities and responsibilities. Elon expanded initiatives that connected faith communities with technological innovation, supporting projects that addressed social issues like poverty, education, and environmental sustainability. These tangible outcomes help translate abstract ideals into concrete benefits, further enhancing public trust. The chapter delved into Elon's personal reflections during this period of change. He recognized that public opinion was a fluid and often unpredictable force, shaped by narratives, emotions, and events beyond any individual's control. This awareness deepened his commitment to authenticity and long-term impact over short-term approval. Elon also acknowledged the vital role of his support network, family, friends, advisors, in grounding him and providing perspective amid shifting tides. The narrative included testimonials from individuals who had changed their views on Elon and his mission. These stories highlighted the power of openness, empathy, and genuine engagement to overcome prejudice and foster understanding. The chapter closed with a symbolic scene of Elon visiting a community center where diverse groups gathered for an interfaith technology workshop. Watching participants collaborate with enthusiasm and respect, Elon felt a profound sense of hope and purpose. He understood that the turning point in public opinion was less about personal vindication and more about collective awakening, a shift toward a future where faith and innovation coexist in harmony. As Chapter 15 ended, the story emphasized a vital message: public opinion is not fixed but can evolve when courage meets compassion, dialogue replaces division, and leaders choose authenticity over optics. Elon Musk's journey was a testament to the possibility of transformation, not only for one man but for a nation seeking unity in a complex world. As Elon Musk's public journey toward bridging faith and innovation gained momentum and the tides of opinion slowly shifted in his favor, the personal cost behind the scenes became increasingly apparent. The relentless spotlight, intense scrutiny, and the weight of expectations exacted a toll not only on Elon's public image but on his mental, emotional, and physical well-being. This chapter dives deep into the sacrifices Elon made, the internal battles he faced, and the quiet moments of doubt and resilience that defined his journey beyond the headlines. From the outset, Elon's life had been marked by a singular drive to innovate and disrupt, qualities that propelled him to global prominence. Yet these same qualities demanded a level of focus and sacrifice that left little room for rest or reprieve. As the controversy around his confrontation with The View unfolded, Elon found himself navigating not only external challenges but also internal conflicts. The collision of his public role as a faith advocate and his identity as a technologist created moments of profound tension. He struggled to reconcile the sometimes contradictory expectations placed upon him, to be a visionary leader, a moral compass, and a relatable human being all at once. The chapter explores how these demands amplified feelings of isolation. Despite his vast network and public visibility, Elon often felt profoundly alone, carrying burdens that few could fully understand. Sleep became elusive as worries about public perception, business pressures, and the well-being of those he cared about circled endlessly in his mind. Physical health challenges surfaced as a result of stress and exhaustion, reminding Elon of the fragility beneath the facade of strength. Emotional tolls manifested in bouts of frustration, self-doubt, and moments where the weight of responsibility threatened to overwhelm. Yet, amid these struggles, Elon demonstrated remarkable resilience. Drawing on lessons from his upbringing, spiritual practice, and personal reflection, he developed coping mechanisms to sustain himself. Meditation, journaling, and periodic retreats into solitude became vital tools for processing emotions and regaining clarity. The chapter also sheds light on the sacrifices made by those closest to Elon. Family members and close friends often bore the secondary effects of his public battles. Missed celebrations, strained communications, and the constant pressure of media attention. Interviews with Musk, Kimball, and longtime confidants reveal the emotional labor involved in supporting Elon, balancing pride in his accomplishments with concern for his well-being. Romantic relationships faced particular strain, as Elon grappled with the challenges of intimacy under the glare of public scrutiny. The narrative recounts candid moments where Elon acknowledged the cost of fame on love and connection, and the ongoing work required to nurture meaningful bonds. Professionally, Elon's relentless schedule left little room for error or rest. Business decisions carried high stakes, and the interplay between his roles in various ventures, space exploration, electric vehicles, renewable energy, and his faith-based mission demanded extraordinary time management and focus. The chapter captures the tension between these competing priorities and Elon's evolving understanding of sustainable leadership. Despite the hardships, moments of grace and joy punctuated Elon's journey. Time spent with children, quiet evenings with loved ones, and achievements in his work provided vital sources of renewal. Elon's capacity to find meaning and purpose amid adversity became a testament to his enduring spirit. The chapter culminates in a reflective scene where Elon, during a rare evening alone, reviews a journal entry written during a particularly challenging period. The words reveal vulnerability and strength intertwined, a candid acknowledgement of pain coupled with determination to continue the journey. This moment encapsulates the essence of Elon's personal cost. The sacrifices made are real and profound, but so is the commitment to a vision greater than self. As Chapter 16 closes, the narrative underscores a universal truth. Behind every public figure lies a complex human story of sacrifice, struggle, and resilience. Elon Musk's experience reminds readers that true leadership requires not only ambition and courage but also humility, self-care, and the grace to endure. The chapter ends with a poignant reminder: success is often shadowed by sacrifice, but it is in facing these costs that character is forged and legacies are born. In the wake of Elon Musk's fiery confrontation on The View and the widespread public attention that followed, the battle over narrative control escalated into a complex media war. This chapter explores how Elon and his team confronted the challenges of truth, misinformation, and spin, navigating a landscape where stories were often twisted for ratings, clicks, and political agendas. Elon's initial confrontation had been sparked by what he saw as a disrespectful mocking of Jesus on live television, a moment that, to him, crossed a line. But as clips circulated online and media pundits weighed in, the incident morphed into a broader cultural flashpoint, fueling polarized debates about faith, free speech, and celebrity. The media frenzy was relentless. Traditional outlets, social media platforms, talk shows, and opinion blogs all offered competing versions of what had transpired and what it meant. Some painted Elon as a hero standing up for faith in a secular age, others framed him as an intolerant figure unwilling to accept criticism or satire. Elon quickly realized that controlling the narrative required more than issuing statements or giving interviews. His team developed a multi-pronged strategy that combined direct communication with his audience, proactive engagement with the press, and tactical use of social media platforms. Elon embraced transparency as a core principle, opting to share his perspective in long-form formats like podcasts, video essays, and interviews where he could articulate the nuances lost in soundbites. He acknowledged missteps, clarified intentions, and repeatedly emphasized respect for diverse viewpoints, aiming to build credibility and trust. However, the challenge was immense. Sensationalism and outrage often drowned out thoughtful discourse. Elon faced coordinated misinformation campaigns and targeted attacks designed to undermine his credibility. Bots and trolls amplified negative narratives, while algorithmic biases sometimes skewed public perception. In response, Elon's media team invested heavily in monitoring and rapid response, correcting falsehoods and highlighting positive stories. A turning point came when Elon decided to participate in a groundbreaking live-stream debate featuring voices from across the political and cultural spectrum. The event, moderated by a respected journalist, focused on the intersection of faith, free speech, and media responsibility. Elon's measured tone and willingness to engage constructively surprised many viewers and commentators. The debate generated a wave of thoughtful commentary and helped reframe the conversation. The chapter also examines Elon's reflections on the role of media in society. He expressed frustration with the business models that incentivize division and sensationalism, advocating for a media landscape that prioritized truth, empathy, and complexity. This stance aligned with his broader mission to bridge divides and foster understanding. Elon's efforts extended beyond his personal story. He partnered with media literacy organizations and educational institutions to promote critical thinking and responsible consumption of news. These initiatives aim to empower individuals to discern fact from fiction and engage in civil discourse. The chapter highlights personal moments where Elon confronted the emotional toll of media battles. The constant public scrutiny was draining, sometimes leading to moments of anger, despair, and isolation. Support from family, friends, and mental health professionals was crucial in helping him maintain perspective and resilience. Through these struggles, Elon's public persona evolved from reactive and combative to reflective and strategic. He became a vocal advocate for reforming media ecosystems and a symbol of how individuals could navigate the storm with integrity. The narrative also touches on the ethical dilemmas Elon faced. Balancing transparency with privacy, responding to falsehoods without fueling conflict, and engaging with critics without alienating supporters required careful judgment. These dilemmas underscored the complexity of living life in the digital age. As the chapter draws to a close, Elon's media battle is framed not merely as a personal challenge but as a microcosm of broader societal struggles. The quest for truth amid noise, respect amid conflict, and connection amid division is ongoing. Elon's experience offers lessons in courage, patience, and the power of authentic communication. The chapter ends with a powerful moment where Elon addresses his followers directly in a candid video message: "We live in a world where stories shape our reality. It's up to us to choose truth, to listen, and to build bridges, not walls. The media will always challenge us, but together, we can create a narrative of hope." This declaration resonates as a call to action and a testament to Elon Musk's evolving legacy as both a disruptor and a unifier in a fractured media landscape. In the months following Elon Musk's high-profile confrontation on The View and the media battles that ensued, America found itself in the midst of a profound cultural reflection. What began as a clash over faith and free speech on live television blossomed into a nationwide conversation about identity, tolerance, and the values that hold society together. This chapter delves into how Elon's story became a catalyst for broader discussions, sparking debates, dialogue, and introspection across diverse communities. Across the country, from urban centers to rural towns, conversations unfolded in homes, schools, churches, workplaces, and social media feeds. People grappled with questions that transcended Elon's personal narrative. What does it mean to respect religious beliefs in a secular society? How do we balance freedom of expression with sensitivity to diverse perspectives? What role should public figures play in shaping cultural norms? The chapter paints a vivid picture of these multifaceted dialogues, featuring voices from all walks of life. Religious leaders from various traditions weighed in, some supporting Elon's defense of faith, others cautioning against conflating religion with politics or celebrity. Educators debated how to approach discussions of religion and values in increasingly pluralistic classrooms. Activists on all sides of the ideological spectrum engaged in spirited but often respectful exchanges about tolerance, satire, and the limits of discourse. The story also highlights grassroots initiatives that emerged in response to the cultural moment. Community groups organized forums and workshops to foster understanding and bridge divides. Interfaith councils expanded their efforts to include conversations about media representation and cultural sensitivity. Nonprofits launched campaigns promoting civil dialogue and empathy, seeking to transform conflict into connection. The chapter explores how Elon's role as a lightning rod both intensified and enriched these conversations. His willingness to publicly confront issues of faith and culture challenged people to examine their own beliefs and assumptions. For many, Elon became a symbol of the complexities inherent in America's cultural landscape, a reminder that identity is layered and evolving. At the same time, the chapter acknowledges the challenges and tensions that surfaced. Not all responses were positive or productive. Instances of polarization, misunderstanding, and backlash underscored the fragility of cultural cohesion. The narrative doesn't shy away from the voices of those who felt alienated or attacked, highlighting the need for ongoing work to heal divisions. Elon's reflections on these cultural conversations reveal a deepening awareness of the nuances involved. He recognized that fostering respect and unity required humility, patience, and a commitment to listening as much as speaking. Elon expressed hope that the moment would inspire a more inclusive and compassionate public discourse, even as he understood the risks of backlash and misunderstanding. The chapter also weaves in stories of personal transformation inspired by the national dialogue. Individuals who had initially reacted with anger or skepticism shared how exposure to diverse perspectives changed their views. These stories underscore the power of dialogue to open hearts and minds, turning conflict into opportunity. Media coverage of the cultural moment evolved to include a wider array of voices and perspectives, contributing to a richer and more balanced conversation. Documentaries, podcasts, and opinion pieces explored the intersections of faith, free speech, and identity with greater depth and empathy. These developments signaled a maturation of public discourse, though challenges remained. As the chapter concludes, the narrative reflects on the enduring question at the heart of the story: how does a diverse nation live together in peace and mutual respect despite differences? Elon's journey illustrates that there are no easy answers, but the willingness to engage in honest, respectful conversation is a vital step. The closing scene captures a powerful moment from a nationally televised town hall where Americans from different backgrounds share their hopes and fears. Elon listens quietly, then offers a heartfelt message. We may not share all the same beliefs or experiences, but our shared humanity calls us to listen, to learn, and to love. That is how we build a future worthy of us all. This declaration encapsulates the spirit of the chapter and the broader story, a story about conflict and reconciliation, challenge and hope, division and the enduring possibility of unity. Elon Musk's confrontation on The View sparked controversy, but it also ignited a nationwide reflection that continues to shape America's cultural landscape. As the cultural conversation stirred by Elon Musk's confrontation on The View reached a fever pitch, the stage was set for what many would call the final showdown, a deliberate, carefully orchestrated event where Elon would face his critics directly in a live, unfiltered setting. This chapter details the lead-up to that pivotal moment, the intense preparation behind the scenes, the charged atmosphere of the event itself, and the aftermath that would ultimately define Elon's legacy in this cultural saga. In the weeks preceding the final confrontation, tensions were high. Critics and supporters alike braced for the event, which was billed as a national dialogue on faith, media, and free speech. Invitations went out to a broad spectrum of voices, from the sharpest media personalities and religious leaders to everyday citizens deeply invested in the cultural debates. Elon, aware of the stakes, committed himself to approaching the event with honesty and grace. His preparation was rigorous. Coaches helped him refine his communication style, focusing on empathy and clarity rather than defensiveness or confrontation. He reviewed questions, anticipated attacks, and reflected deeply on his own journey, the lessons learned, the mistakes made, and the vision he still hoped to realize. On the day of the event, the venue was charged with palpable energy. Cameras, journalists, and audience members filled the space, a microcosm of America's fractured yet hopeful cultural landscape. Elon arrived early, surrounded by trusted advisors but also mindful of the gravity of the moment. As the live broadcast began, Elon opened with a candid statement acknowledging the complexity of the issues at hand. He expressed respect for diverse viewpoints and a sincere desire to find common ground. This tone set the stage for a dialogue marked not by shouting matches but by earnest conversation. The panel of critics was formidable. Some pressed Elon on perceived contradictions in his actions and words, questioning his sincerity or accusing him of exploiting faith for personal gain. Others challenged the broader implications of his stance on free speech, religious respect, and media responsibility. Elon responded with a blend of humility and conviction. He acknowledged past missteps and the pain caused by misunderstandings, yet he reaffirmed his commitment to fostering respect and unity. His answers were thoughtful, often drawing on personal anecdotes to illustrate broader principles. Throughout the event, moments of tension coexisted with surprising breakthroughs. There were instances when critics and Elon found unexpected common ground, sharing stories of faith, family, and the desire for a better society. The live audience and viewers at home witnessed a dialogue that defied stereotypes and opened new pathways for understanding. The chapter highlights a particularly poignant exchange between Elon and a religious leader who had been a vocal critic. Their conversation evolved from skepticism and challenge to mutual recognition of the importance of dialogue and respect. This moment encapsulated the potential for healing and reconciliation amid cultural conflict. Despite the constructive tone, the event was not without controversy. Some viewers and commentators criticized Elon for perceived evasiveness or softness, while others felt the critics were too harsh or dismissive. These polarized reactions underscored the ongoing complexity of the cultural landscape. After the live event, Elon and his team carefully reviewed feedback and media coverage. While some headlines focused on conflict or controversy, many praised the event as a model for civil discourse. Elon felt a sense of accomplishment but also a renewed awareness of the work ahead. The chapter also explores the personal impact of the confrontation. Elon described feeling a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and renewed purpose. The experience deepened his understanding of the power and limits of public dialogue. It reinforced his belief that lasting change requires patience, courage, and persistent effort. In the days and weeks that followed, the final confrontation sparked a fresh wave of reflection and conversation across America. Media outlets revisited key moments, cultural commentators debated implications, and everyday people shared their own stories of faith, conflict, and hope. Elon continued to engage with these dialogues, balancing public responsibilities with private reflection. As the chapter closes, the narrative frames the final confrontation as both an ending and a beginning, a culmination of a tumultuous journey and a foundation for future efforts to bridge divides. Elon's willingness to face critics openly and honestly marked a defining moment, demonstrating leadership rooted in authenticity and respect. The concluding scene captures Elon standing alone after the event, gazing out over a city skyline at dusk. He contemplates the path traveled and the road ahead, resolute in his mission to build a future where faith, innovation, and compassion coexist. The chapter closes with Elon's words echoing in the reader's mind, "This is not the end of the story, it's the start of a new chapter. One where we listen more, judge less, and walk forward together." As the dust settled from the storm that Elon Musk's confrontation on The View had ignited, a new chapter began, not just for Elon, but for the nation watching closely. This final chapter reflects on the journey that brought him here, the lessons learned, and the profound meanings drawn from a story that transcended headlines to touch on the core of human experience. Elon stood at a crossroads, a man transformed by conflict and challenge, yet grounded in a deeper understanding of love, sacrifice, and the power of connection. The chapter opens with Elon in quiet contemplation, away from the public eye, reflecting on the whirlwind months of scrutiny, debate, and personal growth. He acknowledges the raw emotions, the fierce battles, and the unexpected moments of grace that shaped his path. He recalls the initial spark, the moment on live television when faith was mocked, and he felt compelled to speak up. That moment set in motion a chain of events that tested every part of him, his beliefs, his resilience, his relationships, and his vision for the future. Through this reflection, Elon recognizes that while the controversy was painful and challenging, it was also a catalyst for growth, both personal and societal. He sees clearly now that true courage is not the absence of fear or doubt, but the willingness to face them with honesty and openness. The narrative then turns to Elon's relationships, how they weathered the storm and evolved. Family, once strained by the pressures of fame and conflict, found renewed strength in shared vulnerability and support. Elon's interactions with friends and colleagues deepened, rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Romantic relationships, though tested, gained new depth through lessons in communication and patience. These intimate connections became the bedrock on which Elon rebuilt himself. The chapter explores the philosophical lessons Elon drew from the experience. He reflects on the nature of love, not just romantic love, but love as a guiding principle in life and leadership. Love, he realizes, requires sacrifice, empathy, and the courage to be vulnerable. It demands listening as much as speaking, giving as much as receiving. Elon sees this not only as a personal truth but as a beacon for society, a way to bridge divides and heal wounds. Elon also contemplates the broader societal implications. He acknowledges that America is a tapestry of diverse beliefs and experiences, where conflict is inevitable but so is the potential for reconciliation. He expresses hope that his story, with all its messiness and complexity, will inspire others to engage in difficult conversations with compassion and humility. The chapter then offers a vivid scene where Elon visits a community center hosting a dialogue inspired by his journey. He listens to stories of struggle and hope, witnessing firsthand the power of connection and shared humanity. This experience reinforces his belief in the possibility of a more compassionate future. Writing style throughout emphasizes Elon's emotional journey, his moments of doubt, fear, hope, and joy, portraying him not just as a public figure but as a deeply human character. The prose brings the reader close to Elon's internal world, showing how each challenge carved new layers of wisdom and grace. As the chapter builds toward its conclusion, Elon delivers a powerful message that encapsulates the story's heart. Life is full of surprises and hardships, but love, true love, always leads the way. It is through love that we find strength, forgiveness, and the courage to build something better than ourselves. This message resonates as both a personal testament and a universal truth. The final paragraphs offer a panoramic view of the future, Elon's ongoing commitment to innovation, faith, and social healing. The story closes on a hopeful note, emphasizing that endings are also beginnings, and that every challenge holds the promise of transformation. Readers are left with a clear life lesson: courage, empathy, and love are the forces that move us forward, even when the road is uncertain. The last line, echoing the opening question of the story, invites the audience to reflect on their own journey. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? It's a call to action and an invitation to embrace resilience, connection, and hope. This chapter provides a profound resolution to Elon Musk's controversial saga, transforming it from a tale of conflict into a story of growth, unity, and enduring humanity. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?